Good morning, Eric here from Miami Beach. I just shot another video talking about First Vanadium and the Wi-Fi went out. Anyway, this one will work and it's 11:30 a.m., 2 hours after the open. I wanted to start with First Vanadium, but initially I didn't want to update on this right on the open. I wanted to see if anybody figured it out. You know, are you paying attention to one of our core holdings? You know, they just came out with their first hole at Carlin looking for gold. And this is pretty interesting right out of the gate. I mean, this is a monstrous property. This area is elephant area. You look at Gold Quarry, which is 13 miles away, 25 million ounces, okay? So I was not expecting too much on the first 5 to 10 holes. I figured that it would help with vectoring and with the pivoting and, you know, targeting, but they hit it. So I don't think that people who are not well versed, and I could include myself on the border of that technically, I'm getting better being educated by people like, you know, Paul Cowley, Dave Matheson, and other geologists that I spend time with. But the average investor may look at this, and obviously the lengths are very big. The grades, not quite yet, but they're there. And the most important thing, talking to both of these guys yesterday, is this has all the fingerprints of a large-scale Carlin-type gold system at reasonable depth. They put it in the release. This is Dave. Much like I've seen it elsewhere in the Carlin gold trend. It has all the makeup, the mercury, the antimony, the breccia, alterations, you know, that is what, that's kind of like, I'm not there yet, but you know, when you've been around, like say you're Michael Jordan and you're 37 and you've seen it all, and you come down the court and there are things that, you know, rookies and younger people, they'll isolate what they see. And then Michael sees the whole picture and a few moves ahead, and he knows that the makeup of the environment is ripe for whatever magic he wanted to create. You know, I get that occasionally in the market. I actually have since I was younger, a gut sort of instinct on certain things, but you know, it's not easy when you're looking at the lay of the land with a macro crazy world, you know, micro issues within certain company stock sectors. But what I'm getting at is that if we want somebody to look for a deposit like this for us, it's Dave Matheson. Any geologist that I talk to, that I have spoken to, that has operated in Nevada for a long time, I don't believe I've had there's not been a higher regard for a geologist amongst peers that I've found than Dave. And the reason for that is because this guy knows. He knows what he sees. We always need assays, and you have to have that with confirmation, right? But when it's got the makeup of what he's seen before in these big deposits, that's exciting. And so anyway, they came out and said it's potentially analogous to other important Carlin-type deposit systems, such as Nevada Gold Mines' massive Gold Quarry deposit. Only 13 miles away, by the way. How big is that? 25 million ounces. 25 million ounces. You heard that correctly. And the grades are nice. There's also some comps to Gold Strike within the plates. Gold Strike is, they've got like over 10 million ounces in reserves. It's huge. I mean, these are, actually it's 9 million. These are some of the biggest mines in the world, and certainly in North America. Okay, this is exactly the type of stuff that we want to be involved in, because if they start to vector in and hit the source anywhere near it, it's going to blow this thing wide open. Today's news may blow it wide open as the word gets out this week amongst the professionals, amongst the technical people who realize, holy cow, Dave and Paul, they're onto something here. So anyway, boy, I mean, let's see what happens in terms of today. I think you can, if you don't own this, here's the real down and dirty. I've loved this company and how Paul runs it based on, he's so prudent. You know, capital structure is my biggest thing. We financed them 3 years ago. We just did it again in the summer, and they still have less than 55 million shares outstanding. So the enterprise value right here, 45 cents Canadian, is like 15 million US. I mean, you're talking about, I mean, the upside, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's early, so we do have to accept a higher risk profile. It's not easy to vector into a feeder zone and a source of a deposit this big. But my encouragement to them was, I'm not worried about you guys being prudent. I'm worried about you being overly prudent. Let's drill. It's game on. Gold's at 1900, let's go. And so the plan is going to be sort of a combination. I think, you know, they need to collect data to continue to go where they're going to go. But at the same time, I just renewed my faith in the group and said, look, you know, we don't need to wait. If weather is impending, which in this area can be a little bit challenging as you get into December, January, February, I just told them, whatever is justified, whatever you want to do, the money is there. And we have the demand. I own, you know, right now, almost 4% of the company. Fully diluted, it's more. And then our group owns a huge amount of this company too. So most of mine is not free trading. I exercise warrants, we put it into the placement. I have zero desire to even, today's the first day that I looked if I even deposited the placement anywhere, and I haven't. And that was like 2-3 months ago. Anyway, watch First Vanadium. This is a gold exploration play with a vanadium kicker that actually is extremely substantial as well. One day we're going to wake up and the vanadium asset is going to be hot again, and they could spin it out or sell it for, you know, $100 million, $200 million. It's going to come into play at some point. But while we've got this under the radar vanadium company zeroing in on a possible monster, I mean, think about Nevada Gold Mines, Newmont and Barrick. The way this market is unfolded, you're going to see a real problem for filling in reserves, filling in resources, late stage, buying production. As we keep moving forward and they're now printing money and gold goes higher, that's when it becomes evident. It's funny because I hear some of the Bitcoin people that, you know, there's one company, MicroStrategy, the CEO put like several $100 million of their cash in Bitcoin. Commendable, you know, did it and believes that fiat sitting there is a risk. But some people don't get gold and the supply dynamic. They say, well, you know, Bitcoin is a deflationary supply. And that's true, and it's very unique. But they're like, well, you know, 2% a year, we're going to see growth in gold. And when it goes higher, they're just going to pump it up like it's an oil well, you know, or something. That's not happening. The average discovery to production in the sector, especially for a bigger mine, you're talking about 15, 20 years. It's at least a decade. This doesn't happen overnight, and there has been a massive lull in exploration. There has not been enough spent. The big companies since 13 had to tighten their belt You know, they shaved off bad purchases from the 10, 11 period, 12, and to survive. And they didn't have the budgets for the exploration. I'll tell you, right now is when they're starting to, if not already, wake up to the fact that they need to start allocating more money, whether that's from for buyouts of companies that identify things like this, whether it is taking stakes, JVs, whatever. I mean, we are in a great position. You look at Bravada and the assets they have in Nevada. Timberline's got a second life. First Vanadium. I mean, these are deposits that are very, if they're developed and they continue to progress, which have been worked on for a long time, you know, there's no telling where the buyout prices could be. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Let's get more word. There's going to be a video out today talking more about this from Dave and Paul on their website. And then also they're drilling this week again, and I will keep you posted. Let's see what the assays on 2 and 3 say. Those were cut a little short in terms of depth, but we'll see. Now it's number 4, and I just encouraged them, go hit this thing right now, you know, with what's prudent. You know, let's, if you were going to do 1 hole, which is what I think they were planning on, and you got lucky to even have a rig, drill 5. You know, I don't care. It's not about wasting money. All of this would be valuable, and they can be more efficient by taking a bit of their time. Understood. It's if it's justified. I just said go, go, go. Anyway, let's see what happens with First Vanadium. I can tell you that because of the market capitalization and how under the radar and how early this is and how if it's going to hit, it's not going to hit like, hey, we've got 250,000 ounces of gold at, you know, a gram. This could be insane. So buy First Vanadium all day up to 50 cents. Premium members 55 cents. Just go there because it's going to break the all-time high probably today or tomorrow, which is 47.5, and it'll go probably right into the 60s this week. And it'll do it with or without us. So get your action in there if you heard this early.